And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brenden and Eric. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're talking week 6 in the NFL. Tons of good games. This should be a fun week. Mr. Eric Warrensy, looking fresh. How you doing?
Good, Brenden. Good as always. Yeah, it hit me today that week 6. Because I like to think of things in terms of a hockey game. So week 6, we're coming down to the end of the first period here already.
Yeah.
And every year I feel like we say the same thing. The year just flies by.
Yeah, this is going to be the 1/3 mark of the NFL season. We'll do an episode next week kind of dissecting our takes because I'm still struggling to figure out who's good and who's not in this league. There's a lot, I feel like the week 8 mark, like a week 9, I kind of get a good read on the league and you have a lot more data to go off of. But right now, the Broncos are fucking 3-2. Are they good? There's so many just random teams that actually have winning records that I don't know what to make of them. But it's been a fun week. Last week was a blast. That was one of the better weeks of football, if not the best week of football we had.
Yeah, it was unreal, and this year's been unreal overall. And the trend of the large underdogs covering and even outright winning continued last week. It's been a really wacky year, but it's been exciting.
All right, let's dive into it. And we're starting with your team right off the bat here, Warrensy. The Bears fly over to London. London Calling. Caleb Williams going across the pond to play Trevor Lawrence. The Bears are 1.5-point favorites right now. Your Bears got a massive win over the Panthers. Caleb Williams now back-to-back weeks with positive EPA after the first 3 weeks with negative EPA. He's playing better football. Talk to me here. What's your vibe check with the Bears?
Well, I'm feeling good about the Bears. Last week they were a lock of mine, and I'm going back to the well. I look at this game very similar as to how I handicapped last weekend, where I thought that the books were kind of maybe underestimating, might not be the word, but not respecting this Bears offense yet. They definitely had reason to do so, but I don't think they were factoring in how poor Carolina's defense is, and that's why I like the Bears offense to roll. Guess what? This Jaguars defense is almost as bad as the Carolina Panthers. They are just getting torched week after week. Defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen is not making adjustments whatsoever. What he has run from week 1, he is running every single snap of every single week, and even poor offenses are taking advantage of this. I think the Bears roll again. I also had a lock last week of the Minnesota Vikings early in 9:30, and I just think that the short favorites over in London, I think that we're getting spread value here. Give me the Bears again.
Yeah, we should say that you were 3-0 on your locks last week, 7-6 against the spread. I was 6-7 against the spread, 2-1 on my locks. So we went 5-1 on our locks last week. It was a good week for us. The Bears defense right now is 4th in EPA per play. I don't know if you've been kind of tracking how good, I'm assuming you have, you're a Bears fan, how good the pass rush has been. 4 players with 10-plus pressures. Billings, Walker, Sweat, and Javon Dexter is off to a red-hot start right now, Warrensy. 14 pressures. That's a team lead, and he has 4 sacks. I also like the Bears in this one. Didn't make my lock, but you're right with the Jags defense. They have the second worst pass defense by yards allowed and dead last in pass EPA allowed per dropback. So it's a pass defense that Caleb Williams should be able to play well against, should be able to continue kind of his trend of football going up over the last 2 weeks. And another thing is, too, I think Lawrence is bound to throw a pick or two, maybe a fumble here and there. The Bears have a 5+ turnover ratio over the last 2 weeks. They're doing a good job of kind of flipping the game script. So I like the Bears as well, -1.5, but not a lock.
Yeah, I know to play devil's, what's the word? Devil's advocate?
Devil's advocate, yep.
Devil's advocate that people might happen to say that it's a home game for the Jags because they're in London, but I'm more willing to buy into that angle next week when the Jags are playing back-to-back in London. I don't think it's a home field advantage yet. I think both body clocks are on the same, so catch me next week when the Jags do get the advantage of the back-to-back London games, but not this week.
All right, so Doug Peterson, is he the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars when he returns from London? Because Robert Saleh just got canned after a London trip. I think there's like a trend here where coaches coming home from London have been fired at a weird rate. I don't know the other coaches, but I did see something. I should have grabbed that stat, but because think about it, the owners are flying there too, right? It's a long plane ride to think on your way home.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in your head. If you have if the Jags was back-to-back games in London here, Shad Khan's going to probably be pretty upset.
I think it also just from a logistics side of things makes sense. You're not going to fire a coach before you go to London because it's just so much organization to put on a new guy.
And like, are you going
I
to
think it's
send Doug
kinda,
Peterson home? Like, if say you want to fire him after this game here, are you sending him on a charter flight back home by himself? Like, it's a weird situation that they're in with this back-to-back spot.
Yeah, but they do it every year. And last year it was a huge advantage in that game against Buffalo, if you remember. The Jags were coming in off a week already in London. It felt like an advantage. So that might be a teaser for next week. But this week I'm all in on the Bears again. They're still being disrespected. The spread should be over a field goal.
Speaking of disrespected teams right now, Warnsey, the Washington Commanders on the road to play the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe game of the week action here with these two quarterbacks. Number 1 EPA offense and number 2 EPA offense. The Commanders lead the league. The Ravens are second. Both these quarterbacks are playing out of their minds. And Warnsey, Washington is 6.5-point dogs on the road against the Ravens here. Sportsbooks still don't love this Washington team. You had to take that they're the best team in the NFC East, and right now, by record-wise, they're playing unreal football right now. My Browns pick was an absolute dud last week. I cannot believe I did that. But talk to me here. What do you make of this Daniels versus Lamar matchup?
Yeah, this is by far, I think, in the 1 p.m. window, the game I will have on the TV the most. For this one, I've been tracking the total because Washington is clearly just a straight over team.
And the Ravens are too right now. The Ravens are third in points per game. Washington's first. So both of these teams are lighting up the scoreboard.
Right, but this game actually took some under money. It opened as the highest total we've had so far this year at 53. It's been bet down to 51, but I don't know who's betting under in this game. That's a wild take to me because I do think both offenses are going to have success. You could look at it from the perspective of these defensive coordinators practice every day with a mobile quarterback, so maybe they should have an advantage on how to stop them, but the football that Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels are playing, you might have the playbook, and I don't know if you can stop them right now. So for anything in this game, I lean over, and I do think that the Commanders are being a little disrespected. So for the sake of the show, I'm going to take the points and pocket the 6.5. But I'm just excited to watch this game. I won't be betting it.
So Lamar is like on a pace better than his MVP season last year. Like he was amazing against the Bengals. That play where he just did you see the one play? So I'm talking about the one that Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone where he breaks the tackle, incredible. Then there was the one where he's like running, he's escaping the pocket and he like fakes the Bengals defenders, and it was an incomplete pass, but it was one of the craziest pocket maneuvers I've ever seen. He's out of his mind. Last week, 403 total yards, 4 tutters. I like the Ravens in the spot. I'm going to take a -6.5. I think they can win this one by touchdown, but I don't love it. At the same time, I do still not all the way in on the Commanders. But if they win this one, you cannot. You have to flip your take on Washington, no matter who you are. If they go 5-1 and go into Baltimore and beat them, I think that's probably maybe the most impressive win of the season for any team. But Baltimore's defense can get after the quarterback. Matabuke is 17 pressures right now. He's playing really well. Maybe he can cause some ruckus in the interior there. So I think they can win this one by touchdown. I'll take Baltimore -6.5. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3.5-point road favorites heading to New Orleans. Spencer Rattler getting his first career start as a Saint. That was announced today by head coach Dennis Allen. Derek Carr out a couple weeks due to a oblique injury, and the Bucs have been there since Monday. They had to bolt there due to Hurricane Milton heading in to Tampa Bay, so they're well rested and set in New Orleans. But I'm excited to see Spencer Rattler get his first career start. Warrensy, talk to me. What do you think?
Yeah, so this is a game. I think if this would be batting cleanup for me. It's in my 4 spot, so it didn't quite make my top 3 locks, but I like Tampa Bay in this spot, and I wish we were getting what the line would have been with Derek Carr, because I do think the Bucs probably would have been underdogs in this spot on the road, and I would have been able to get a couple points. But I just like the idea of Todd Bowles and his heavy blitz rate versus really banged up Saints offensive line. The Saints O-line is what we thought it was going to be. It is flat out awful, and now you've really seen the drop in play since Eric McCoy went on IR, their center. So I really do think Tampa can get pressure. Rattler being a more athletic guy, perhaps he escapes that pressure. That's why I kind of wish it was Derek Carr. If you watch that Monday Nighter, Derek Carr under pressure is throwing up prayers. is really how you been the book on him for a while now. You do have the angle that it is Todd Bowles versus a rookie quarterback, which he has generally dominated in his career, but there's just something fishy about this. Also, Tampa Bay's players, they got to have a lot on their mind right now, a lot more than football. Some heavy stuff going on back home. So that's what forced me not to put it on the card, but I definitely lean Tampa Bay -3.5 in this spot.
So I always thought Spencer Rattler would be a better pro than college player. He played really well in the preseason. Saints fans are fired up to see this. Because I don't think Dennis Allen's the greatest head coach who makes the greatest head coaching decisions. I thought he was going to go with Jacob Hayner. I'm happy he went with Rattler. I think he provides more of an upside to his team. He can escape the pocket. Like you said, the offensive line's a little banged up, so he can kind of move around, make plays with his legs. I like the Saints here in +3.5. I think they can cover this. I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think both teams either win by a field goal. I don't really have a great lean for this one, but this is a game I'm going to have eyes on because I love Rattler. And something that's really kind of trending right now is Rashid Shaheed might be wide receiver 1 here. What's going on with the Saints and Chris Olave? Olave is now second in targets on the team behind Shaheed. Could he step up? Maybe does Rattler entering the lineup bring Olave's production up? So that's something to keep an eye on just for fantasy-wise and everything, because Olave, in my opinion, I had him as like a breakout candidate for this year and just hasn't done that yet. But I like the Saints. Give me them +3.5.
Yeah,
all right.
Do you know Taysom Hill's status yet? I know the injury report isn't out yet or the practice report.
He broke his ribs. I think he's dealing with broken ribs. I don't think he's going to play in this one, but it's
Yeah.
weird how
it's crazy to say that he's such an impact to their offense.
A guy I just always hated watching and hated him like stealing touches from players, and now like he's just so important to this team. It's bizarre, but all right. I can't believe we're here. Fuck me. The Cleveland Browns on the road to play the Philadelphia Eagles. 8.5-point favorites. The Birds are the largest favorite in the week. The Philadelphia Eagles.
It's been a curse so far this year, being the largest favorite. It's gone down 4 out of 5 weeks, which is just crazy.
I had a nice week last week not watching Eagles football, and I can't believe I have to watch them. Deshaun Watson, the Browns coming to town. Like this just the way the Eagles, this is how it's going to go. The Birds are either going to rip off fucking 10 of 11 games here and win, or they're going to lose this one, and maybe Nick Sirianni gets fired. Like this is either going very up or very down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I like going to you first for Eagles games. I can't believe you're stressed about this game. Like I'm still alive in Survivor. I'm pretty confident in using the Eagles in Survivor this week. If they lose to this Browns team, that's so far off my thoughts. We got to talk spread here, because money line, the Eagles are winning this game no problem.
All right, so Deshaun Watson has been pressured 90 times. That's a league lead. The Eagles defense hasn't been able to get after the quarterback outside of that one Saints game. Is Deshaun Watson coming to town? Like, will that help? The thing is, like, I don't know what to expect from the Eagles heading into this week. Is Nick Sirianni going to come off hot waffle bye? Are they well prepared? Like, do the defense going to make the adjustments that they need? Cooper DeJean is expected to start over Avonte Maddox. Will that help in the slot? Because Maddox has been getting absolutely cooked to start the season. The one thing that like Eagles fans can rely on, I do think the offense is going to play well. You got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Lane Johnson all coming back. They were all full participants in practice today. So I do think the Eagles offense is going to score, but I don't know if I have confidence. Like, there is a scenario here where Deshaun Watson looks like a top 5 quarterback against the Birds. Like, it's not crazy. Like, the Eagles defense has been getting plastered.
No,
I don't know, man. I'm taking the Browns +8.5 here. I think they cover this. The spread's way too high in my opinion. I have no idea. I have no read on my team right now. I'll say it. I'll put it that way.
Wow. Well, I don't think Vegas has a read on the Browns yet, because they're 1-4 against the spread this year. So even in Vegas's terms, the Browns are really underperforming. I don't think 8.5 points is enough here. I think this should be double digits. Okay. For you to say there's a chance Deshaun Watson has a top 5 performance of the week is crazy to me. Like,
if there's one team right now
out of the bottom 10,
if there's one team that Deshaun Watson could go in right now, and I could confidently say maybe he plays a top 5 game, it's against the Eagles defense right now, because that Bucs game was arguably the worst defensive performance, the first half at least, I've ever seen. It was just picked apart. Now, the Browns offense, like you brought up how how bad and maybe the spread should be higher. The defenses they face too, like their offense can't even do well against bad defenses. They face the number 27th, 31st, 18th, 21st, and 28th ranked EPA per play defenses. So they haven't even played like a top 16 defense, and they're still playing bad. And they'll get another bad one here in Eagles. I don't know what to expect. I think 8.5's a lot, so I'm just going to take the Browns blindly. But I think the Eagles ultimately win, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. The Eagles haven't blown out teams in a long time. They haven't won by 7+ points since Miami of Week 6 last season.
Cleveland Browns injury report is an absolute novel, and there's some blue chippers on there. I mean, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett still haven't practiced. They're missing guys on the O-line. I'm for the sake of the show, I'm taking the Eagles minus the 8.5, and I don't mind it one bit. I think this is get right spot off a bye.
All right. Well, usually when
don't underestimate the power of a mutiny. I legitimately think that the Cleveland Browns players despise Watson, and if they're down 14, I think that snowballs to 28 pretty quick.
You know what I was thinking about the Browns? Like, usually everyone feels bad for them when they're bad because, like, everyone just always feels bad for Browns fans. But the league is, like, actively rooting against them because of Deshaun Watson. Like, Browns fans don't even feel bad for us. No, everyone hates your quarterback. So I think everyone's happy to see the Browns choke this year. All right, the Houston Texans on the road against the New England Patriots. The Texans are 7-point favorites. Drake May making his first career start. Another game that I'm fascinated by. I love rookies making their first career start. What do you make of this one?
So, rookie going up against DeMeco Ryans. We saw that week 2 with Caleb Williams. Definitely would have given that matchup to DeMeco Ryans, and I don't know why it wouldn't be the case here. You could say a positive for the Patriots is this will be the third time they've seen this version of a defense. They have played the Jets and San Francisco so far this season. They run that exact same system. Ryans came from the San Francisco tree, as did our former boy, Bobby Salah. And I don't know what I'm going to get out of Drake May. In theory, yes, he should be able to escape more of the pressures than Jacoby Brissett. But in theory, as a rookie quarterback, he could be rushed into making poor decisions easier than Jacoby Brissett could. So I'm passing. I want to see the rookie before I decide to bet on or against him. But I'm going to lean Houston and take the favorite. All
right, so here's going to be my first lock of the week. I might be absolute batshit for this one, but I'm going to take the Pats +7 and lock this in here. The Texans offense is still not playing very well. They're 25th in offensive success rate. Nico Collins just hit IR today, so without the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, according to yards, EPA per target, everything. That's a massive loss. I know Tank Dell is a very good player, and maybe he can step up, but no Nico Collins is huge. Home dogs of 5+ points so far this season are 8-10 outright and 10-10 against the spread. So I think that's a good look. Drake May, I think, can escape some pressure. He can make some plays on the move. The Texans were also 1-4 as road favorites last year. This isn't a great spot that DeMeco Ryans gets their team kind of ready for. I think they're going to kind of fall back after a gutsy win against the Buffalo Bills. 7's a lot of points for a road team to me, and I think the Patriots rally with their rookie quarterback, so I think they can cover a touchdown. Give me the Pats.
All right, that is a bold pick.
It's not that.
I just hope Drake May.
Like I said, it's not that bold. But home favor or home dogs +5 points have been rock solid this season. Mm-hmm.
You're right,
and I like Drake May. I was very high on Drake. I was very high on Drake May coming out of college. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a lot better than what Brissett has shown.
But just don't you think if he was a lot better than what Brissett was, he would have been the starter from the start?
No, I don't. I think the Patriots have completely botched this. I think he should have either started week 1 or they should have just benched him for the rest of the season and tanked this thing. Because I do think May can bring them some more wins.
Yeah, but the fact that May didn't get the nod week 1 tells me that the coaching staff doesn't think he's better than Jacoby Brissett.
I don't think they know what they're doing.
I don't know.
I don't think they know what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball in New England. Like, I don't think the coaching staff kind of has a lockdown.
They lost David Andrews for the year now. That offensive line is a disaster. I just hope May does not get injured this season.
All right, so that's first lock. New England Patriots +7. All right, to finish off the 1 o'clock games, the Indianapolis Colts on the road to play the Tennessee Titans. Anthony Richardson, or the Titans are 1.5 point favorite. Sorry. Anthony Richardson is practicing today. It looks like he's going to be back. He was on the move throwing, kind of doing everything normal. So it looks like Flacco season will come to an end and A-Rich will be back. No Jonathan Taylor at practice as well. Michael Pittman is going to be placed on IR and miss a few games with a back injury, I believe. Trey Sermon is also injured for the Indianapolis Colts. He did not practice today. Josh Downs didn't practice today. So Richardson's back, but his weapons around him are not very healthy. Do you think the Titans off a bye can win this divisional matchup?
I do, actually. It's not one of my locks, but I am going to side with the Titans in this ballgame off a bye. And I love my boy Joe Flacco. I love him, but he comes with a curse. And that's the fact that the team has to face the reality. He's the better quarterback on the team. And I think turning to Anthony Richardson, I know he's the future, but if the Colts were trying to win ball games, the better quarterback right now is Joe Flacco. Completed 75% of his passes last week. Anthony Richardson will never have a game with 70% this season, let alone 75%. I think Joe Flacco runs Shane Steichen's offense better than Anthony Richardson. Yes, Joe Flacco doesn't have the legs, but I don't see Anthony Richardson coming back this week and then running him into the ground. He's a little banged up. So if you're getting an Anthony Richardson who's not going to be running the ball 10 to 15 times a game, I'd way rather have Joe Flacco. So I'm fading the Colts here. Give me the Titans plus 1.5.
I think it was out of 35 quarterbacks who have played at least 83 snaps this year, Flacco's third in EP per play. He's hooping right now. He played really well last week. That was an exciting one. I'm locking in the Tennessee Titans here, minus 1.5. I really like the spot for them. I just brought up all the injuries, no Downs, no Pittman, and no Jonathan Taylor. Those are three of his best targets. You brought up that he's not going to run him into the ground, and I completely agree. I think for Anthony Richardson to win this game, he's going to have to kind of run wild. I don't think that's going to happen. The Titans defense right now surprisingly ranks first in defensive success rate. They're very good down to down, and they're fifth in EPA per play. This Titans defense is playing really good football, and the Colts pass defense stinks. They have no one in the secondary. I think this is going to be a game where Will Levis off a bye learns stuff. He's back healthy. He's recovered from that shoulder injury. I think this is a great spot for Tennessee and basically a pick 'em at minus 1.5. So my second lock will be the Titans. And I'm probably going to regret it because Will Levis is going to do something stupid probably. I'm going to regret it, but I don't know. I think it's a great spot.
He's had a lot of time to think. And,
Poor Will Levis.
And Simmons should be back on the defensive side. He's a big piece of that puzzle.
All right, those are the 1 o'clock slate, and the London game warns you now. I'll be back breaking down 4 o'clock in the night games.
The Double Doink Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is hard. It's especially hard when you don't have someone you can open up to. Not everyone is comfortable talking to their friends and family about their personal matters or anything that is bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is so important to continued success in this world. Therapy is a great way to regroup and get everything off your chest. Insert BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy service, 100% online. They will match you with professional licensed therapists you can trust. You can talk with your therapist however you see fit, via text, phone call, or video chat. BetterHelp has successfully helped over 4 million people worldwide deal with their day-to-day mental health issues. Use the link in the podcast description to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.
And we're back on the Double Doink Podcast, previewing Week 6. I've locked in 2 picks already. Warrensy still has 2 left to lock in. Let's talk the 4 o'clock slate. Arizona Cardinals on the road against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 5.5 point favorites. Both these teams played well last week. I thought the Cardinals played phenomenal. The score was 24-23, but the Cardinals also had a blocked field goal that went back their way. I thought they were the better team the entire contest. Now, the 49ers didn't have a field goal kicker, which kind of hampered them as Jake Mooney went down in the middle of the game. But I thought that was probably the most encouraging performance from Arizona and kind of was the team that I expected them to be heading into the season. But can they cover 5.5? Or what do you make of this one?
This is actually in the 1 p.m. slate, because my first note is this is a West Coast team playing on the East Coast in an early time slot. But this is one I have a tough time with. If anything, I lean the over 47.5. I think Arizona's defense is what we thought they were. They're very susceptible to the pass. That works well when you're playing Green Bay for overs. So I lean over more than anything. I'm going to take the points in terms of the spread for the sake of the show, but this is one of the hardest games of the week for me because I see a route where Green Bay scores every possession. I see a route where this is a 28-24 type game. Whoever has the ball left or ball last kind of wins it. So going to take the points, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, miscue by me. It is the 1 o'clock slate. I saw the Arizona Cardinals, just assumed 4 o'clock game, but it is in Lambeau, is in at 1 o'clock. The Green Bay Packers need to get off to better starts. They have been outscored in the last 2 games, 41-17 in the first half. So that's something they really need to focus on. They've kind of been digging out of holes. Last week we had the Jordan Love miscue or whatever that was in the end zone on that pit 6 against the Rams. So they had to kind of claw the way back, but they did. I like the Packers in the spot. This was a game that I was going to lock in, but it just didn't make my card. I think they're going to have a lot of success on the run. The Cardinals are 28th in rush success rate on defense. The Cardinals also, in my opinion, are kind of just like this team where they play really well and they fall down. They play really well. They fall down. They're going to be a roller coaster team, in my opinion, all season. It's kind of a take that I have on them through 5 games. One bet that I really like in this one is Jaden Reed over receiving yards. If you take a look at the 3 games where Jordan Love has started, Jaden Reed has 75 plus yards in all of them. His total right now is sitting at 61. So kind of an interesting prop that I did dig up there. So give me the Packers minus 5.5. I think they can win this one by a touchdown.
Well, I'll be tailing that Jaden Reed all day. You know, he's my guy.
You brought up Tucker Kraft last week. We just didn't do it. Guys, an absolute mammoth of a game. We got to stick to our guns. We got to both bet Jaden Reed in this one. All right. The Los Angeles Chargers, coming off a bye, are 2.5-point road favorites against the 3-2 Denver Broncos. Just a team that I cannot figure out right now. They're allowing 11 points per game over the last 3. They've been really good on the defensive side of the ball. They're blitzing at an insane rate right now, the highest percentage in the NFL. They're blitzing 51% of the time on first downs. Just an insane stat right now. Do you trust the Broncos as home underdogs in this one?
I'm going to get so greasy here, man. I can't believe I'm doing this, but my second lock of the week is actually going to be the under in this game at 35.5. It's a low total. But I'm buying in on this Denver defense. I am bought in on it. You mentioned the point totals the last few games. They've kept it really low, and big factor in that is I think they right now have the best cornerback in football. That's Patrick Surtain. He's quite the chess piece for any defensive coordinator, but that's allowing them to blitz at a higher rate because you can trust in the back end. You don't have, one player takes out one wide receiver easily right now, and that's what Surtain has been doing. So I'm going under here. I do think Denver's defense wins that side of the ball. And on the other side of the ball, I think the Chargers defense can slow down Bo Nix no problem. I know last week the Denver offense looked good against the Raiders. They put up a lot of points. I'm calling that as the outlier. I think Bo Nix goes back to the field goal style of offense he's been producing so far this season. So it's greasy, but I'm getting under 35.5 here.
That's a very low total to lock in an under, but I like it. You love your under bets, so you're very good at eye and total. So I like it. The Broncos have like this winning formula where Nick just, if he can play efficient and the defense plays well, they can win games like 17-10. 17-6, something like that. Like they just need a couple plays from Knicks on the offensive side of the ball. And you're right with Patrick Surtain. He's playing out of his mind. 2 interceptions last week and a pick 6. I'm taking the Chargers minus 2.5. I don't love it. This is probably my least favorite game to pick here. I like them off a bye. Like I guess they can figure some stuff out there and they can get healthier. Justin Herbert and Joe Alt should be back in this game. Or Herbert did play, but Alt should be back. Did you have a spread? Did you pick a spread here?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos plus 2.5. I just think the best unit on the field is this Broncos defense, so I'll take that in the points in the division game at home.
All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road 3-point favorites against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders make a change at quarterback today. Aiden O'Connell going to get the start. Gardner Minshew officially benched. Did you see the video of him picking his nose and eating it on the sideline after he got benched last week?
Top look for a guy I like.
Gardner Minshew, man. It never made sense for me to start Minshew. It was just a stupid experiment. Why,
maybe wait till you see what O'Connell produces before you say that.
My point is, like, why give him this guaranteed like $25+ million when you know your team's not going to be good? The Minshew experiment in Las Vegas just made no sense to me from the get-go.
Yeah.
They should have just rolled with Aiden O'Connell.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but I have a tough time seeing O'Connell really boosting this offense and giving it the kick that it needs, especially against a good defense in Pittsburgh. I've had a tough time getting a read on Pittsburgh this year. I really liked them in that spot against Dallas last week, and to win the turnover battle 3-0 and not win that game really is a kick in the nuts. But that's kind of what Pittsburgh is. I think when they step up in class, I'm going to be disappointed. But these are the games that they win. They beat the teams they should beat. And since this has dropped, because it opened at 3.5, Pittsburgh favorite, since it's down to 3 now, that makes me feel more confident in taking Pittsburgh as a shorter favorite. Their road favorite, that traditionally isn't something I like to take, but I'm on the Steelers here to bounce back.
Yeah, I like the Steelers -3 in this game. The Raiders can't run the football either. Like O'Connell's gonna have to do it himself through the air. They're 28th in rushing yards per game right now, and a big one here that I've been eyeing is T.J. Watt. We'll see backup right tackle DJ Glaze in this game. Great name, DJ Glaze. And Watt has lined up on the left side on 94% of his pass rushes. So they're going to focus on TJ Watt to make sure he runs that DJ Glaze. That should be 100% in this game. So I think Watt's going to eat in this one. He became the youngest player to reach 100 sacks, I believe, in that Cowboys game. He's so good. And I think he reps this one. Second quickest. That's it. He's playing out of his mind right now. Maybe the best football of his career this season. He looks phenomenal. So I think the Steelers cover this one -3. All right, Atlanta Falcons on the road against the Carolina Panthers. Panthers coming off a very tough loss where we saw Bryce Young get some game action in, but it looks like Andy Dalton will get the start right now. Falcons offense is humming, just lit up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. They've discovered something in Drake London in the slot. Then that kind of heavy slot usage, he did really well there last week. He leads the league in target percentage when he's in the slot. I think it's kind of an unlocked version of this offense where maybe they'll stick to it and focus on. I think London has a chance to have a really good season going forward, but 6.5 is a lot of points. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, 6.5 is a lot of points, and Atlanta's kind of been the cardiac kings this year. All of their games have been a one-possession game coming down right to the wire. But last week was the week I really attacked and faded Carolina, and that was with the Bears as a short home favorite. I think Vegas got this one right. Spread has become inflated. Now Atlanta's a large road favorite. So I liked my attack of the Panthers last week. I'm not going to bet on the Falcons this week, but I still am going to side with them because I do think Carolina is unbettable right now with what that defense is looking like. But until I see Atlanta blow an inferior team out, I'm going to pass on making them a lock.
The Panthers defense is allowing the most points per game in franchise history through 5 games. Their franchise is 25 plus years old. I don't know. I think it was 1997. It's
like the same age as us almost, I thought.
Yeah. So their defense is playing really rough right now, and we just saw the Falcons offense hum, but I don't know. The 6.5 feels like a lot to me. It feels kind of like a letdown spot. Maybe Carolina, off a butt whipping, kind of turns back or turns it up again and plays well on offense. So I'll take the Panthers plus 6.5, but I hate it. The Detroit Lions, 3-point road favorites against the Dallas Cowboys, coming off a bye week. And we both have a lock left, and I think we're going to be on the same side of this one. Warrensy, give me your reasoning.
You were right. You said right before we recorded, you said, I think I know what one of your locks is, and I think I'm on it as well. And you're damn right. What am I missing here? Can you tell me what I'm missing here? Why are the Lions favored by a field goal? Should this not be 6.5, 7?
I think it's on the road, maybe they're giving Dallas a 1.5 here or there, but you're right. Field goals feels low here.
I think the Lions run this ball all day long and get whatever they want on offense. They're healthy, coming off a bye. Dallas is banged up. They had an emotional win on Sunday Night Football. Feel like they stole one from Pittsburgh, and I'm not impressed with the Cowboys whatsoever. One possession wins over the Giants and the Steelers is not going to impress me, and I still have the Lions as the best team in the NFC. I've been riding them so far this year. They're 3-1 versus the spread. I think that this is the last week Vegas disrespects the Lions, and you'll see some higher numbers going forward with them because I think they blow the Cowboys out here.
Detroit was 6-1 as a road favorite last season, so it's a spot where Dan Campbell gets his team fired up. They don't overlook teams when they're on the road. The Lions offense is now 5th in EPA per play over the last 2 weeks. That's number skyrocketed. They're playing well. We talked about like week 3, like what's going on with the offense. They figured it out. They just tormented the Seahawks defense. The Cowboys don't have a run game either. They cannot run the football.
Yep.
And in 5 games so far, they have not been able to run the ball more than 4.1 yards per carry. This is probably the worst run offense in the league. That's going to put them in some 3rd and longs. I think Aiden Hutchinson can have a real nice day too and torment the Cowboys offense. I am also all over the Lions in this one. This is probably my favorite pick of the week, locking in the Lions -3.
Yeah, this might be my favorite pick of the year so far, to be honest. So
Yeah.
give it to me, Lions. Don't let me down. Danny Campbell, I'm with you.
All right, Cincinnati Bengals 3.5-point favorites on the road against the New York Giants. The Giants, man, what a game. Just destroying Survivor pools. Kicked me out of Survivor. Actually, thank God I'm out of Survivor. I can't take Survivor pools anymore. I'm sick and tired of them. I'm happy I'm eliminated. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But they didn't just win. They outplayed Seattle. They were the better team for all 60 minutes of that game. Daniel Jones looked really well. It was a really impressive win without basically their best player in Malik Neighbors. Can they continue that success on Sunday night against the Cincinnati Bengals?
The Giants are a team I have not been able to figure out this year. To do what they did last week without Malik Neighbors was astonishing to me. I was really impressed. Neighbors had been getting something ridiculous, like a 48% target share through 4 weeks, which is just an absurd number for a single player. Spread the ball out last week more, and it worked. But now they're getting Neighbors back. Do they kind of still spread the ball out, and does that give Neighbors maybe better looks with the ball being moved around more? I don't know. I got to see it. But they've got a good matchup versus Cincinnati defense. You brought up how good Lamar looked last week. It's been all year the Cincinnati Bengals defense struggling. So I think there's a path for success for this Giants offense. And with that being said, there's definitely a path for success with the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdowns last week, was damn near perfect, only made 1 mistake, and they lost the football game. That's how it's been going for the Bengals this year, but this is it for the Bengals, right? It's
if they lose
like,
this one,
they don't have,
if they lose this one, who knows? Yeah, they
have to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, they have to, right? Like, so I'm taking the Bengals just because of that. Like, they have to win this football game. And I don't think Daniel Jones can play that well 2 weeks in a row, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, like this is like if you told me in August 29th, the Bengals are going to be only 3.5-point favorites over the Giants, and I'm like, it's been an absolute lock. Like I was high on the Bengals heading into this year. The Bengals offense is still 3rd in EPA per play out of everyone in the league. The Bengals got to be the most frustrating. I couldn't imagine being a Bengals fan right now. Just completely frustration all across the city of Cincinnati. Just they have too good of an offense to be this record. I like the Bengals here to cover. Give me the -3.5. Something that's interesting, the Bengals actually don't allow pressure. Joe Burrow's been the least pressured quarterback in the NFL this season. The only way to kind of the only way for the Giants, in my opinion, to kind of wreck this game is Dexter Lawrence, who's playing really well, but I think they can double team him and take him away. Kayvon Thibodeau's going to be out for a bit for the Giants as well. So it's going to be Dexter Lawrence and basically no one else because Brian Burns hasn't stepped up at all. So I like the Bengals -3.5. All right, Buffalo Bills to finish us off on the road, 2.5-point favorites against the New York Jets. Robert Saleh, the big news, gets fired after a 2-3 start with the New York Jets. Let's just kind of talk about this because we don't have our opinions out on this one. So was this a good move? Do you think the Jets should have fired Robert Saleh? Give me your take on this scenario here. It's really weird.
I think 2 things can be true in this scenario, and they kind of contradict themselves, but I think he can be deserving to be fired, but it can also not be his fault, if you know what I mean. Like Nathaniel Hackett remaining is just baffling to me, and that's what kind of shows to me that Rodgers had something to do with this decision, because the reason this team is off to a 2-3 start is the offensive side of the ball. They've had their moments, but for the most part, it's been a struggle offensively. And for Nathaniel Hackett to stick around, that's really, really puzzling to me. I think Saleh is going to land on his feet and get a defensive coordinating job almost
100%.
next year as soon as he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel bad. I kind of feel bad for the guy. If you look at his tenure, the quarterback play he's had, you can say, oh, he had 5 games of Aaron Rodgers, but he's had 5 games of a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers who looks banged up. I don't know. I always thought the Jets overachieved with what they had at the quarterback position. Maybe the last 5 games you can say that hasn't been the case, but overall, I thought Salah did more than he could with this group.
Two things can be true, like you said. Robert Saleh should have absolutely been fired, but he should have absolutely been fired last season. Like, they should have made this decision after week 17 of last year, week 18 of last season. You could have had Ben, you could have threw a big offer at Ben Johnson this offseason. Mike Vrabel was available. Bill Belichick was available. This is a good coaching cycle to replace this guy. You're telling me that the combination of Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett isn't doing well on the offensive side of the ball? Oh my God, I'm shocked here. Like both of those guys are running the Jets offense, and they were cast-offs from their previous jobs. No one in the NFL would have hired Todd Downing or Nathaniel Hackett to run their offense except the New York Jets, and they combined those two. The Jets are 32nd in offensive EPA per play since Robert Saleh took that job. You can't be dead last in the NFL in offense and have success. And Robert Saleh's to blame for that. He's the one hiring these guys. He's the one making the calls on who's going to be surrounding him and controlling the offense.
You don't think Rodgers? I think the Hackett-Rodgers thing is real.
I don't. I have a hard time buying that Aaron Rodgers was the reason why Nathaniel Hackett's back. Saleh probably had some say in it too. If Saleh didn't want him there, he probably would have been gone. That's my opinion. Like
you said it. Like, who in their right mind would hire Nathaniel Hackett? The answer is Aaron Rodgers. It
baffles me that everyone is like, what's wrong with the offense? What's wrong with the offense? Like, why can't they get it figured out? The quarterback's 40 years old, and they're run by two guys that no one in the NFL wants. And this is exactly why I was not high on the New York Jets heading into the season, because I had serious questions about the offense. And Robert Saleh shouldn't be surprised he got fired. Maybe he should have been surprised because he was like there on Monday. He did his press conference on Monday. I wrote an article at the Score about like what he said on Monday, and then he shows up on Tuesday and he's fired. Like, it's kind of it was a weird timing for it. Yeah. And there was reports that like he was just like called down to the office and he was fired, and like they barely gave him time to get out. Like, the whole thing's weird, but I think he 100% deserves to be fired. Now, are they in a better spot? I don't know. Like, you're getting rid of your defensive head coach, and now your defensive coordinator has to take over the head coaching roles. Like, who's specifically running the defense now? Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So I don't really know what like the answer, what the change is here. I think you probably should have maybe fired both Hackett and both Saleh. Like, I don't know. It's so weird to me, but I think it was deserving, but it should have been deserving after week 18 last year. This specific game, though, like, are they gonna? We always, there's always like, I don't know what the exact stat is at this point, but there's always like
No, the new coach bump is kind of an overrated trend.
That's what I was going to bring up. Okay.
Since 2000, it's only hitting at a 51% clip. Like, I mean, it is above 500, but barely by anything. So I don't buy the new coach bump as something to rally around here because, like you said, Nathaniel Hackett's still running the offense. If the Jets go out there and put up 17 points, they're going to lose this ball game. It doesn't matter what the defense does because I think Josh Allen's going to score more than 17.
I like the Bills minus 2.5. I've been burned by the Bills last 2 weeks, but I still think they're like, again, I'm going back to my preseason predictions. I think the Jets are much worse than the Buffalo Bills, and I don't think the last 5 weeks has changed much for me to go away from that.
Yeah, I need to see if Shakir is playing. It's kind of crazy to me that Shakir being out really, really, really hampers this offense. I mean, I like him as a player, but your offense shouldn't fall off a cliff when Khalil Shakir can't play, and that kind of looked like the case last week. Josh Allen had maybe the worst performance of his career. Completed 9 of 33 passes, just Wyoming type numbers from Josh Allen. So I want to see if Shakir plays, but I definitely lean Bills.
Yeah, I just think it's a nice bounce back spot too. Shakir will be important, but I think Allen can have some success. You're going to see a big running game from him. He's been so efficient when running the football. I think they need to go back and kind of maybe go simpler. Like last week, they had to throw the ball 30 times. Allen was inefficient. I think they can tighten some things up here and they can win this game by at least a field goal. Okay, let's recap our locks. So my lock number 1, the New England Patriots +7 against the Houston Texans. Lock number 2, the Tennessee Titans -1.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. Lock number 3, the Detroit Lions -3 against the Dallas Cowboys. Warren Z.
I got the Bears over across the pond -2, or is that -1.5 now? It might be
-1.5.
-1.5.
It's -1.5.
Beautiful. I love it. And I'm getting greasy and taking under 35.5 in the Chargers-Broncos game. And Lions -3, baby. Pick of the year. Ride it.
Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. Warren and I will be back sometime this week. We're going to kind of do our zoom out look at the quarter or the 1/3 mark of the season. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube and on audio podcasts, wherever you listen to your audio podcast. And we will talk to you later.